So today, we're going to dive into a really powerful, kind of secret pattern for creativity. It might just totally change how you look at all your scattered interests. It's this hidden structure for connecting ideas that seem like they have nothing to do with each other and creating something brand new and, honestly, groundbreaking.
You know that feeling, right? Where you look at your work or your hobbies or your different areas of study, and it just feels like you're jumping between a dozen different worlds. One day you're super deep into one project, and the next you're obsessed with something totally different. It can feel fragmented, right? Maybe even a little bit chaotic.
But here's the thought. What if that scattered feeling isn't a weakness at all? What if it's actually the raw material for your biggest, most important breakthroughs? The whole idea we're digging into today is that this fragmentation, well, it might just be the secret ingredient for some serious innovation.
And there's a name for this process. It's a new way of thinking about how incredible ideas can come from completely distinct, separate starting points.
It's called Generative Confluence. Now to get this, picture a couple of rivers. Normally, a confluence is where two rivers merge, right? They become one new, bigger river, and the old ones are gone. But Generative Confluence, that's different. Imagine those rivers flowing into the same valley and creating a brand new, huge lake in the middle. But the original rivers don't disappear. They keep flowing on their own. They create something new together without losing themselves in the process. To really understand this, we're going to walk through the real-world story of the guy who actually discovered this pattern in his own work, Oliver Ding. It's a pretty amazing journey that took place over like a decade, and it really holds the key to how we can all use this idea.
So for years, this guy was working on 3 totally separate, really complex projects, and they were coming from completely different worlds. One was from psychology, all about our environment and the opportunities we find in it. Another was from something called activity theory, focused on how we chase our goals. And the third was from sociology, looking at what a creative life even is. Now here's the kicker. He intentionally kept them separate. He let each one grow on its own.
You can see how his main focus kind of shifted over the years. He went from a deep dive into psychology, then to sociology, and then onto philosophy. But look closely. See the overlap? It wasn't like he just dropped one and picked up the next. He was juggling these big ideas at the same time, and that overlap is absolutely crucial for what's about to happen.
All right, so the first real step toward a breakthrough happened when he stopped just keeping these ideas in their own little boxes. He decided to make them, well, talk to each other.
He found out that the magic wasn't happening deep inside any single theory. No, the most fertile, creative ground was in what he called the boundary zone between them. This is where he started to stage these creative dialogues where he'd actively look for the sparks, the connections, and even the arguments between his different projects.
So let's make this real with an example. On one side, you have his approach that's all about our environment and the possibilities it holds for us. And on the other side, you've got his framework for thinking about human goals and projects. I mean, these are 2 totally different ways of looking at the world.
So what happens when you bring these 2 ideas into a conversation? Boom, a brand new concept just emerged. It was called the Life Coordinate Framework. And it wasn't just a simple mashup. It was a completely new tool that pulled insights from both sides, but didn't replace them. This is the new lake starting to form between the rivers.
So after years of these little dialogues sparking new ideas, a much bigger picture finally started to click into place. This was the true aha moment.
He was mapping out all of his work from the past several years, and all of a sudden, he just saw it. In his own words, he was shocked by the pattern. It wasn't something he designed or planned from the start, it just emerged from the whole journey.
So what was this pattern? He called it the 3+1 structure. His 3 original rivers, his independent theories, were still flowing, still developing on their own. But all their interactions, all those dialogues over the years, had given birth to a new 4th thing, a unified central idea that connected them all.
And this whole 3+1 thing wasn't just some abstract idea on a whiteboard. It represented a huge step forward in his work. His creative life theory went from being a purely scientific, academic project to something that actually had practical, real-world tools that other people could use. The confluence created real value.
Okay, so that's the story of how he found it. Pretty cool, right? But the real power here is how you can actually use this. So how do we take this insight and turn it into a tool for our own creative lives?
First thing to get is that this is not a recipe. It's not a rigid, step-by-step formula you have to follow perfectly. Think of it more like a heuristic. It's a mental model, a flexible guide. It's really just a new lens for you to look through to see the hidden potential in all the stuff you're already doing.
So, how do you actually do this? Well, you can think about it in 3 steps. First, identify your threads and really think about it. What are those separate, long-term passions or projects you keep coming back to, even if they seem totally unrelated? Okay, step 2, foster dialogues. This is the active part. Don't keep them siloed. Purposefully put them into conversation with each other. Ask yourself, what happens where these 2 things meet? Where do they connect? Where do they clash? And finally, step 3, look for the new center. And this isn't about forcing it. It's about being patient, staying open, and just noticing if, over time, a new unifying idea starts to emerge all on its own.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Take a look at your passions, your projects, all your weird hobbies. What are the separate rivers flowing through your life that, if you just let them talk to each other, might create something amazing and entirely new? What threads are just waiting to converge? Thanks for tuning in.